Hi, kindergarten. I just came back from a really beautiful long bike ride and I got to draw this little guy with you guys today. Hey. I'm actually going to give this to my niece tomorrow, which I'm excited about. I heard that a lot of you guys are getting to see maybe some family safely and go in your pools, and I'm glad that things are warming up out there. Today we're going to talk a little bit more about animal habitats. I feel like I'm going to sneeze. I think it passed. Okay. And this is a really cool book because it talks about different habitats all over the place. It's called Even an Octopus Needs a Home. And it's got some really great illustrations. I think the illustrator and the author are the same because I noticed there's only one name, and this person's name is Irene Kelly. So let's take a look. I think octopuses are so cool. They're really smart. Do you guys, do you ever see an octopus? One time I was swimming in Florida and there was a really cool octopus, or it might have been a squid. Sometimes I get them confused. Even an octopus needs a home. I'm gonna take this sleeve off because it's annoying me. Okay. There's no place like home. That's true for people and animals. Animals need homes for many of the same reasons people do. They need a safe place to sleep, to store food, and raise their families. How does an animal make its home? Some animals build with branches. Others sculpt with mud. Or they weave with sticks. Some simply curl up in a cave or take shelter in the hollow of a tree. And for one little spider, all it takes is a bubble. What? I'm really curious now. Tree houses. Sorry, friends, I'm having a little trouble with my book. There we go. Chimpanzees love a view, but they want a new one every night. Each evening, chimps make new nests high up in trees. It only takes a few minutes for the chimps to bend branches and build sturdy sleeping platforms as high as 80 feet off the ground. Young chimps have fun jumping up and down on their beds. Does that sound familiar? That's so funny. So baby chimpanzees, they like to jump up and down on their beds too. And they make a new nest every night. Look at this. Interesting. Monk parakeets create huge treetop apartment buildings. Some of my friends live in apartments, right? The construction begins with just one pair of birds. The two parakeets weave sticks together to make a ball-shaped nest. Another pair come along and adds its nest to the first one. So this guy makes a nest, and then this guy is like, oh, I can move in here. And then he builds a nest attached to that nest. More and more parakeets add nests to the ever-growing home until a bustling colony has been created. Some monk parakeet nests can be as big as a car. Can you imagine this whole thing being as big as a car? That's pretty cool. Oh, we know what this is. We read a book about bees before. Bees, wasps, and some ants make themselves at home in trees. They chew and mold the wax flakes into cells, which the bees layer to make into a honeycomb. The honeycomb is a nursery for baby bees and a pantry for storing honey. So here we have a bee, and he chewed up that wax and he molded it into these cells, which are actually, I think, the shape of hexagons. And then those little guys are larvae, and that's honey. Honeybees begin the big job of building their hives by squeezing tiny bits of wax out of their abdomens. Remember our abdomen song? That was right before quarantine, friends. I have a thorax, abdomen, and head, 2 antennae. Oh my gosh, I forgot about this song. The queen forms cells out of paper and lays paper wasps make their treetops homes out of paper. The queen begins by chewing bits of wood into a mushy paste. She pats the paste onto a branch using her front feet. As the paste dries, it turns into strong paper. The queen forms cells out of the paper and lays one egg in each. When the larva hatches, it builds more cells and attaches them to the hive. Up to 200 wasps can live in one hive. I think maybe you guys have seen this type of hive before. It's a paper wasp hive. And if you touch it, it really just feels like paper. It's pretty cool. Weaver ants use teamwork to build their leafy homes. They link together to create an ant chain that spans 2 leaves. Whoa. The ants pull the edges of the leaves together until the edges are almost touching. So look, they're kind of making the leaf go like that. They're pulling it together. And now they're going to start sewing. They glue the edges together. How? The ants sway back and forth across the gap as they squeeze a larva. The larva oozes sticky silk threads that bind the leaves together. That's so strange. So, you guys, these guys, they take a leaf and they stand, like a couple of them, right? And then they pull it together. And to make the leaf stay closed to make their home, they take one of the larvae and they squeeze the larva, and the larva makes like a glue. Animals are so strange. This is so cool. I've seen this before. Weaver birds push, pull, and knot fibers and vines to create woven homes. It's like a little hammock that can be 6 feet long. That's taller than me, you guys. These industrious birds live in large groups or colonies. A single colony usually contains 30 nests, but up to 172 nests have been spotted in one tree. So one tree might have 172 of these hanging weaver bird homes. Look how beautiful this is. And interesting, right? Many city dwellers live high up in apartment buildings, and some animals make their own skyscrapers. Termites may be only a ½ inch long, but they can create towers that are 30 feet tall and house 3 to 5 million insects. Whoa. Underground passways lead to food pantries, nurseries, and even indoor gardens where the bugs grow mushrooms for food. So inside this apartment for termites, there's all these doors and exits, and there's a place where they keep the babies, like a nursery. There's also a garden where they grow their own food. Wow. And there's like a kitchen. That's all so crazy. And look, this is the size of a real girl. That's how big a termite mound can be. Like so much taller than a kindergartner. That is so interesting, friends. European redwood ants build the tallest towers of all ants. They stack pine needles and twigs until they've constructed a mound up to 6 feet high. This tower hides and protects a maze of tunnels and chambers underneath where the ants live and raise their young. Very cool. Have you guys ever made an ant home? I've done that. Oh, look, here's another habitat. This is an underwater habitat. Towering homes are constructed underwater too. A single coral polyp is the size of a pencil eraser. By linking together and stacking on top of each other, the coral polyps create a colony on the ocean's floor called a coral reef. The Great Barrier Reef off the coast of Australia is made up of millions of coral polyps and spans more than 1,200 miles. This reef has been growing for 500,000 years and is so gigantic that, guess what? This reef underwater, this coral reef, if you're up in space in a spaceship and you look down at the earth, you can see the coral reef. Like, that's how big it is. Wow. There are so many different types of fish that live in the coral reef. There's over 1,500 species. And here's another habitat. This is a beaver dam. I think we're going to save half of this book for another time because we're only about not even halfway through, friends. And I know it's a little bit of a long book. So I think I'm going to span it 2 days. Let's maybe read this page and then we'll take a little bit of a break. Lodges. Beavers are excellent carpenters. Their lodges can last 20 years. Before building their homes, beavers make a dam. Using their sharp front teeth, they cut down trees and chew them into logs. They create a dam by piling up the logs. The dam holds back the river water and causes a pond to form the perfect setting for the beaver lodge. To make their lodge, the beavers carefully stack logs and plaster them with mud. Then the beavers build a chimney to keep fresh air flowing into the lodge. I love this because beavers, they don't have any type of door up here. In order to get into the beaver's lodge, you have to swim underwater and then up into the lodge, which is pretty cool because that will keep out a lot of their enemies. The beavers make 2 or more underwater tunnels, one for everyday comings and goings, and the other is for emergency exits, kind of like how we have it in school in case there's a fire. We have more exits just in case. If a predator sneaks into a tunnel, the beavers can escape through the other tunnel. That's pretty smart. Okay, let's see. Are we about halfway through? Last one. I promise. This one's just too interesting. Caves. Our early human ancestors lived in caves, just like some animals. A huge octopus lives in a tiny cave. How does it get in there? Easy. An octopus doesn't have any bones, so it can squeeze through a very, very, very small opening. So he can squish through like a super small hole. After a female octopus has found the perfect cave, she hangs about 200,000 eggs from the ceiling. Do you guys see all these beautiful kind of like drapey things? Those are all her eggs. She hangs them from the ceiling. Very cool. Okay, we're going to stop it right there. But my challenge for you guys today and your writing assignment is I want you guys to tell me about one new habitat you learned. Okay, so maybe you'll talk about the octopus. Maybe you'll talk about some of the bird nests. And remember, you can like rewind this video and like kind of pause it and like listen to me talk about that one specific thing again. Okay, so you're going to draw a picture of the habitat you learned about. And I want you to write, friends, I'm really going to push you. I want you to write 2 sentences, okay? Because we're getting ready for 1st grade, and I think you could do it, okay? So do your best. Remember, use your kindergarten spelling, and you have everything you need for your sentence. I will see you guys at 1 o'clock. I love you very much. Bye.